When you start writing a book, do you know the ending? Do you know everything about the book, or does it come to you?
Good question, Alex.
For Emblem Island, like Curse of the Night, which I'm lucky, and probably why they didn't take that long, and here's the second book, is because they're quests. So quests, like, they have an ending, like it's like either you find it's like kind of like the Holy Grail type like story structure. So I did know for the first book and the second book. Second book I had to have an outline, so I definitely knew. But for Lightlark, I didn't, and I had to make an outline and everything. And like, I'm really proud of my ending for Lightlark. It's like there's a lot of twists and stuff, and I feel like people really like the ending of Curse of the Night Witch too, because it is like different. But I feel like if you don't know, it's amazing because you kind of get to explore, and like maybe you get better writing out of that. But like, I feel like at this point I have to outline, or else like I just won't finish in time. How about you, Chloe?
I feel like it differs based on like if I'm writing something like on my own, like experimentally, versus if I'm writing like on a contract, or if I write something as like a duology. So like for these Lights, the original draft, I knew the ending, I wrote towards it, and then it sold and we decided that it was going to be a duology. So what I did was I restructured the first book. The first book got a new ending, which I worked out in revisions. And then once I got to book 2, I actually didn't know how that was going to end until I really like started writing it. And I think that's the thing about like, I needed to know book 1 because that led into book 2, which is very like for Curse of the Night Witch, right? Like you would have had to know how book 2 worked before you wrote the ending for this, because you were setting it up. Right. So I think the same with like duologies, like book 1, I needed to know because that would have then bled naturally into book 2 as I got it. And then book 2, if it was the ending, I was like, okay, I can kind of just work towards it. And I think I figured out how it was going to end, like maybe like 40% of the way into the draft. Usually I'm a very like tight outliner as well. But sometimes my outlining is that I'll outline like a section of the book. I'll write the section of the book and then I'll go back and outline it again. So I think it really differs like by books. Sometimes I'll write like a new thing and I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to write towards it. Sometimes the ending will just come to me first.
Yeah. So this is always a fun question that people ask. What's the best thing about being an author? And then on the flip side, what's the worst thing about being an author?
Ooh, I need to think about
Chloe,
that.
what's the best thing?
Best thing. I think the best thing is that being an author, you're like really creating these whole universes. And it's such a good feeling for readers to pick them up and be like, wow, like I loved living in this. Because like as a reader, that was what I really wanted to do, right? Books were like escapism for me. So to know that I'm creating this like whole universe like in these pages, and other people are as receptive to it as like me as I was living in it when I was writing it, it's like, it's just everything that I wanted, like in terms of being an author. Worst thing is that that's really hard. Like that's just really hard to do.
Yeah, I feel like the best thing is that this has been my dream for such a long time. Like anyone who knew me like at 12, like I was always just like, even when I was like a little older in high school, like I would just go sit out in my car like during lunch break and like write on my laptop. I don't really have a lot of friends, like, so it's just always been my dream, like above anything else. So like the fact that this is my life, and like it really hasn't set in, because obviously the Emblem Island series, like, oh my gosh, I love it so much and I'm so happy with everything. But like from the time I was 12, I always wanted to write a YA series. So the fact that I have a deal for it now, it really honestly doesn't seem real. And like anyone watching who's like, that's your dream too, like it can happen. Like it took a really long time for me, and like I probably should have been more patient, and like I don't know, I was always so desperate to get the deal that I would start a new manuscript and oh my gosh, this is a trend, maybe this time I can get this. And so I probably should have been more patient, but obviously like it led me to where I am now. And so that's definitely the best part. Like it was my dream, like that's, and the fact that I get to do it now, like it was really hard, it wasn't easy. So that's the best part. The worst part is that it's a business, and like I really did think a few years ago when I first got my first book deal that like I would be fine, but like I just said, like I didn't have an agent for a while. Like I didn't think that my way would sell. The first book that when Chloe and I went to the same college, and the day I graduated, I got like my first agent. I had so many agent offers and it was amazing. And I finally thought like, oh my gosh, finally, after years of querying, I'm going to become an author. And so I signed with the agent. I skipped my graduation that Chloe just
skipped it? Oh my God.
I skipped commencement. Because I was like, this is my dream. Are you joking? I have to like talk to all these agents and pick the right one. So I truly thought at that moment, I was like, finally, my dream, like this is the moment. And that was for an adult thriller. I spent all summer revising it. In the fall, I went on submission and it did not sell. And so like that's the reality of being an author, and like the rejection doesn't really stop. I mean, at some point maybe you get like a little better. Like I don't think Chloe's gonna get rejected, but truly, like I thought that was it for me. And then I sold Emblem Island a year after that. It still took time. And then even like I really thought after Emblem Island got all the starred reviews and like all the amazing features and stuff that I would easily sell another like series, and that wasn't true. I really had to like do the work and like make it go viral for it to sell. And so I just feel like that's the worst part, is unfortunately you're not just writing for yourself anymore. Like it is a business, but like again, like if that's your dream, like do it. Oh my gosh, like I'm so happy I did it, but it definitely wasn't easy.
So hard, but it's worth it. In the end, it's it, but it's gonna be a struggle. It's no like easy.
There's no.
How do you stay motivated? You've been writing, both of you, since you were 12. How do you keep going and after you get a rejection? How do you just pick yourself up and say, what, is gonna move forward?
I mean, I think it would be like false for me to say like, oh, I like, you just keep going. Like there's so many moments. Like I've cried a lot. Like I've had a lot of rejections. Like a lot of times I probably should have quit because so many people were telling me like, you are not good. You're like, I've had agents like when I was like maybe 18, like send me like, you should not be a writer. And like, that hurts so much. Yeah. So it's horrible. Yeah. Wow. But it's like, I know. And like, it seems shocking to say that. And it really would be like, well, I have this big like YA book deal, but like, nothing will like make that feel better. Like all those years of rejection, like it is worth it. This is what I wanted. But like, I feel like the only way I kept going is because, again, this was my dream. Like my dream wasn't like, oh, let me try to make a lot of money selling books. My dream was, I don't care like what happens. I just want to be an author. I want to one day see my book out there. And so I don't know. I mean, it really was hard. I think like, and a lot of people like didn't really believe in me. I definitely like got like made fun of and stuff for like writing books. And like, I remember like one time like in college, and it seems crazy because like that you would think adults are in college, but like someone found my manuscript that I had like printed out and like called me and like left me a voicemail about it, like making fun of it. And I cried. Like, so I think purely the love of me writing is the only thing that got me through. And so like, it's easy for me, like, and I try to have an equal balance of like, oh yeah, I have all these followers and like, I just got like a big book deal and everything. But I really do try to have the healthy balance of saying like, this is the reality, because I don't want people, the worst thing would be like for someone to go through this and be like, oh, well, I just got 10 rejections. And like, clearly Chloe and Alex, like they never got rejection. So something must be wrong with me. So like, I really want to be honest about like, everyone has gotten rejections. Everyone has had moments where like, they feel like I'm not cut out for this, or people are telling them like, you can't do this. And like, if you keep going, it will happen. But I don't know, Chloe, how did you get through it?
I absolutely agree with that. It's definitely the love of storytelling and the love of writing books that it's the only thing sometimes like that really pushes you through to keep going. Because the thing about like there are already so many rejections like in the process before the book hits shelves, right? There's professional rejections, there's like rejections like just the fact that someone called you making fun of you is awful. Oh my God, let me know where I can find it.
Chloe has like better friends than we do.
Like there's all of that you already have to get through. And then after your book hits shelves, there's even more to get through, right? Because once you're a public figure, everyone has an opinion. You will get tagged in bad reviews. People will come to your face and be like, oh, well, this wasn't my cup of tea. And you're kind of sitting there like, well, I really didn't need to know that, but thank you. It really doesn't stop. Like once you, like being an author is being a public figure, but with none of the protection that a lot of like other public figures get. Like you're so like accessible, especially in this day and age with social media as well. So it's like really the only like the huge positive of like loving stories and loving getting your stories out there and loving the fact that other people need these stories just has to outweigh like all the other things. And that alone is the only thing that's like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep writing another book. It's the, you know, rejections and like people being mean will never stop once you're an author, but it's something that you just have to weigh up against everything else.